record on this computer. Okay, great. So before starting the session, quick update on what we are going to see here. And most of you guys will be aware of this, but for those who are very new, you can mute yourself to avoid background noise. By default, you will be muted. And in case if you have any doubts, you can ping in the chat option of Zoom, something which is related to the topic. I know hacking is a very vast topic here, and please don't get deviated. So anything which is related to what we are seeing here, yes, you can ping in the chat option of Zoom. And in case if I'm not answering this, yes, we also have a Skype group. We'll send you the a link for Skype group. Before Skype group, we have, you can turn off your webcam because I can see a lot of webcams being turned on. Probably that might not look good. So you can turn off your webcam. And yes, for troubleshooting, we have Skype group enabled. So Skype group. Okay, we have a session happening in Zoom. Yes, so we have this happening in Zoom. And after session, post session, suppose in case if you have any doubts, we have Skype group here. We'll share you the link of Skype group. We have 2 groups in Skype. So you can join any of these groups. Please don't join 2 groups and ask your questions in 2 groups. So we have created Skype groups, and we have volunteers in this Skype group who are already added. So in case if you have any doubts, you can go to Skype, type #doubt, and you can say, I have this doubt, right? And for sure, this doubt will be cleared. And in case if you need any help, means if you're not getting any output, if you're getting error, if you need someone to troubleshoot you, then you can type help and you can type installing Kali Linux. Fine, installing Kali Linux or whatever it is. Fine. So what we'll do, we'll assign a volunteer to you, asking the volunteer to help you. So he'll ping you in person and he'll troubleshoot your error. Fine. So we have this Skype group. Please make use of this Skype group. Skype group is where you can actually, clear all your errors, troubleshooting, and doubts. Fine. And class notes, yes, class notes and videos will be shared in Google Drive. So you can download. I hope Soumita has given you what to do and how to download these videos. In case if you have any issues, yes, save a copy of this video and start downloading, right? And we have attendance as usual. Yes, we have attendance, the link of which will be shared to you on daily basis for 5 days. And you can fill in your attendance. And okay, there is one more thing here. We have assignments. We have started this from this session. We have assignments which will be given on timely basis. It is not mandatory, but it is always good for you to complete assignments. So we'll give you periodical assignments, and people who submit assignments regularly and who submit assignments with proper answers, we are going to select 20 people from this crowd, 20 people from this crowd, from the participants. And these 20 participants will be admitted for our next paid training. For our next paid training, which is starting on 21st of this month. Fine. And it's a 10 days hacking training. It's a little advanced than what you have already seen. So it's a 10 days ethical hacking training, which is a paid training. So people who submit the assignments and write answers for the assignments, yes, 20 of you guys will be selected for the paid training. It will be free of cost and it will be offered to you. So please take care of the assignments, consider it to be serious, and try to work with that, right? And okay, we'll start with today's session. Hacking, ethical hacking. As I told, ethical hacking is a very vast field, and it's going to cover a lot of things here, right? We are going to see a lot of things. To keep it on a plain text, this is the basics of, or you can call it as the fundamentals of ethical hacking. fundamentals of ethical hacking, what is needed, what fundamentals is needed, what knowledge is needed, and how to work with Kali Linux. Yes, we all have worked with Kali Linux. You should have installed Kali Linux, and few should be new to Kali Linux. So this 5 days of training, we are going to search, or we are going to learn a lot of things about the basics or the fundamentals of ethical hacking, along with how to use Kali Linux for the basic enumeration or scanning of whatever purpose it might be. Fine. So most of the syllabus, what we are going to concentrate will be based on enumeration. Right? It is going to be based on enumeration. And what do you mean by enumeration? Enumeration is also called as, you can call it as information gathering, or you can call it as reconnaissance. Right? So it is going to be based on this. So what is enumeration? What is information gathering, and what is reconnaissance? Before going to this, first let's see what we need to learn all these things. So first we'll start with the need for virtualization. Right? So what is the need for virtualization? First, what is virtualization? So I hope you all have your laptop here. Yes. Yes, assignments, we will share you the link. We'll share you the link in both Skype, in Zoom meeting, and in Telegram group as well. Yes. So, so this is your lab setup as of now. So you have a Windows 10 computer here. Yes. This is your laptop, or this is your home computer here, where you have Windows 10 installed, or Windows 8, or you have some other operating system which is installed. Perfect. Now, we are going to practice hacking. And when you say hacking, probably you are going to download few softwares, X, Y, Z. Fine. You are going to download these softwares from internet, and you are going to install this in your Windows 10. And if it is Photoshop, if it is CorelDRAW, if it is CAD, softwares like that, you don't have to worry about that. But these softwares are meant for hacking. You call it as ethical hacking, but still these softwares are meant for hacking. And there are chances that these software X, Y, Z, these softwares can harm your computer, can harm your host operating system. This you call it as host operating system. Why? Because it is always there. It can sometimes cause damage to the files, to the information, or to the entire operating system. Your operating system might get corrupt because you cannot rely on softwares which you download from internet, especially for hacking. So what we do, we go for a safer environment. We go for a safer environment wherein you will have the flexibility to do whatever you want. Fine. Imagine you have a place like this. This is one virtual computer inside your computer. Fine. You have a place inside your computer wherein you can test any software here, and if something goes wrong, it will not affect your host operating system. Your host operating system will be perfectly fine. If something goes wrong, it will be wrong only inside this box, and it will not go outside this. So it is perfectly safe. And what is this? This you call it as virtualization. Virtualization is where I install a software or I install application like VirtualBox. I go for VirtualBox, or in case you are you want to go for VMware, yes, you can go for VMware, or in case you want to go for any other type of virtualization techniques, yes, you're free to do. But what we are going to see here is VirtualBox. So I'm speaking about VirtualBox here, fine? VirtualBox, which is an application, or you can call it as a software. How does it look? I have my VirtualBox here. See here, this is my VirtualBox. This is my VirtualBox, and how many operating systems I have? I have more than 7, 8 operating systems here. Fine. If I'll install all these operating systems, I'll show you how to install this. And if something goes wrong, with this operating system, I'll right click and I'll say remove. So the operating system will be gone. As simple as that. Anything which happens inside this VirtualBox will stay inside VirtualBox. It will not affect your host operating system of Windows 10. Right? So You can use VirtualBox in your Mac. You can use VirtualBox in your Windows. You can use it anywhere. You have different downloads in the Google Drive. What we have shared, we have VirtualBox specific for. We have given the file for Mac. We have given the VirtualBox executable for Windows. So based on your operating system, you can install this. So I'm going to install VirtualBox in my Windows 10, right? And inside VirtualBox, what I'm going to do, we'll install Kali Linux. We are going to install Kali Linux here, fine. And so whatever is happening inside Kali Linux will stay inside VirtualBox. It is never ever going to harm your host operating system here, fine. So you will have the freedom, you will have the flexibility to do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about your system getting corrupt or your worry about losing your data. No, anything, right? You're perfectly fine to do whatever you want, right? So Kali Linux. So let's imagine like this. Again, we have our Windows 10 here, Windows 10, and I have my VirtualBox which is installed here in my Windows 10, right? This is my VirtualBox, what I have installed here. And inside this VirtualBox, I have another operating system, which is Kali Linux, right? Which is installed. The best option or the best use of VirtualBox is like I can run Windows 10 and I can also run Kali Linux at the same time, right? I can run two operating systems at the same time. So it is like you are creating a lab environment. What do you mean by a lab environment? Lab environment is where for practicing hacking, you might say, I need 4 computers. I need 3 computers and 1 laptop. Why? Because I have my Windows 10 here. This is my Kali Linux, and this is my Windows 7 machine, and this is my Linux machine, right? So in case, if you want to create a lab environment where you need 4 computers, 1, 2, 3, 4, is it feasible for you to buy 4 laptops or 4 computers? Financially, it is not feasible for us. So what we do, we have one computer here with Windows 10, and I install VirtualBox, and in VirtualBox, I install this, in VirtualBox, I install this, and in VirtualBox, I install this. So I run all these operating systems parallelly, fine? And all these operating systems have unique IP address. I can ping from this computer to this computer. I can ping from this computer to this computer. It will perfectly act as like individual computers running in your lab. Perfect. So it is not only a safe environment. Why we go for VirtualBox? VirtualBox, as I told, the need for virtualization, we'll go for VirtualBox. And we have 2 things. One is a safe environment to protect our host operating system. Another one is to create a lab setup, fine? It's to create a lab setup with more computers, fine? So when I want to run, I can run all these operating systems. I have Windows 7 here. When I open this, I double click on this. So what happens? Windows 7, see here, my Windows 10 is running in the background, and I also have my Windows 7, which is running here, fine? So I have this operating system running. Okay, start Windows manually. It runs like a real-time operating system, fine? VirtualBox. So you have so many options which can be flexible, which can create a safer environment, which can create a perfect lab setup for all your lab needs. Okay, I have this Windows 7. Let me open, see here. So what do I have now? I have my Windows 10 here, which is running, and I have my Windows 7, which is running here. Like this, if I open one more operating system, yes, I can run multiple operating systems based on my system requirement, right? That is based on your system requirement. What system requirement? Say in case if you are using i3 processor, probably you can run one host OS, and you can run one OS in your VirtualBox, virtual OS, right? One host OS is your Windows 10. Along with that, in your VirtualBox, I mean, like you can run one virtual OS, that is Kali Linux. If you're using i3 processor with 4 GB or 8 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM. And in case if it is i5 processor with 8 GB RAM, probably you can go for this. You can push for i5 with 8 GB RAM, then probably you can run 3 virtual operating systems. That is possible. And in case if it is i7 with 8 GB or you have 16 GB of RAM, then you can go for up to 5 virtual OS. So my configuration, my computer configuration here is I have my i7 processor with 16 GB of RAM. So I can push up to 5 operating systems at the same time. And if it's a government laptop, if you're using a government laptop with 4 GB of RAM, then probably again one host OS along with one virtual OS, right? When you turn on the second virtual operating system, probably your system will hang. So you have to know your system configuration, and based on that, you will have to install VirtualBox operating system and run this, right? So this is with need for virtualization. Moving on with why we need Kali Linux. Why Kali Linux? You should be asking, can I use Ubuntu? Can I use Parrot operating system? These are different operating systems. You have so many options when it comes to operating systems. Can I use Parrot? Can I use Black Arc? Can I use Deft operating system? There are so many operating systems, but they are for different purpose. Kali Linux, what we are using here, Kali Linux is best for CEH, means ethical hacking, which is a base operating system which has 300 plus softwares. It has 300 plus softwares which is inbuilt, right? All softwares is inbuilt. So when you install Kali Linux, you have all the softwares which is inbuilt. So you don't have to worry about downloading softwares and using it again, right? So you have these many softwares which is inbuilt in Kali Linux. And Parrot OS, in case if you're interested in wireless pen testing, or in case if you're interested with radio frequency, yes, you can go for Parrot OS. You have a lot of dependencies here. Black Arc is for pen testing and Deft is for forensics. So based on what you're going to learn, if you're going to learn something based on wireless radio frequency, go for Parrot OS. Pen testing, Black Arc will be good. Forensics, Deft operating system will be good. All these operating systems are open source. You can download it from internet, and Black Arc is like 30 gigs of, it's a huge operating system, but it's good. It has so much of options there, right? So the reason why we go for Kali Linux is because it has inbuilt software which is needed for you guys to practice with the tools needed for ethical hacking or whatever you want related to hacking. Yes. So after this, third, steps in hacking. Steps in hacking, we have whatever types of hacking you have, right? We have few steps to be followed, which is mandatory and which is universal. It is common. First one is information gathering. Second one is scanning. Third one is vulnerability assessment. I'll explain what these are, and then we'll move on. Vulnerability assessment and exploitation. And then you have privilege escalation. And then you have maintaining access. And then you have covering trucks, right? So I have to tell you this, hacking, okay, we'll keep it as ethical, fine. Ethical hacking here is, it's going to be offensive. It's offensive learning, right? What do you mean by offensive learning? We have two types of learning here. One is defensive, the other one is offensive. I'll explain what is defensive and offensive. Okay. In case if you are learning certifications like CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Administrator, Microsoft certified solutions architect or server administrator, whatever, fine. Certifications by Cisco, Microsoft, and a lot of other certifications, they are called defensive learning. Why you call it as defensive learning? We call it as defensive learning only because when you're getting trained for CCNA or MCSA or MCITP or whatever certification, right? What you will learn, you will say, okay, I have my network, I have my server, and my objective is to create a safer environment. I have to configure my server, fine. I have to configure my server in a secure way so that if someone tries to attack, I can stop that attack. I can stop this attack. Why? Because I've configured my server strongly. I have enough configuration done in my server so that if someone tries to attack, I can stop it. This is defensive learning. What is defense? You are not attacking. You are just defending attacks, right? This is an attack from outside and you are trying to defend. So training certifications like this, probably they are a defensive learning wherein you will learn how to defend any attack. But ethical hacking, right? Ethical hacking, what we are going to learn here, it will be something like this. We'll consider there is a server. We don't know whose server is that. There is a server here and we'll try to learn how to attack this server, right? We'll be the person who is attacking. So we'll learn how to attack this server, how to attack a web application, how to attack a network, how to attack a lot of different entities, right? So this is not defensive learning. This is offensive. So during the course of this, we might learn a lot of offensive strategies, and I would request you to use it in a proper way. Don't use it or don't come up with, don't use it, don't take it in a bad way and use it for a bad purpose, right? We have a lot of do's and don'ts. I'll tell you what do's and don'ts we have. If I say something which you can do, yes, you're perfectly fine to do that. If I say, please don't do this, right? Then that means you don't have to do that, right? You should be doing that. I hope you all are aware of cyber laws in India. It is very strict. So we have so many laws. So I don't want you guys to do something which is bad and end up in trouble, because ethical hacking is offensive learning for sure. So the techniques, what we are going to learn and what is being shown here, I'll show you probably the things which you can do. Don'ts, I should be avoiding that, but still use it for a wise purpose, right? So this is offensive learning, and information gathering is the first step of hacking, ethical hacking, right? So we'll take any one participant here. Okay, let me take who is here. Okay, we'll take Akash. There is one person called Akash Garg. Fine, Akash. Fine, we'll take this person, Akash. Now Akash is our target. This is Akash Garg. Fine. If this is our target, fine, and we are a group of people here. And we are 20 people here. What is our objective? Our objective is to kidnap Akash. We need to kidnap Akash, fine. And what we know, we only know the name. We only know the name as Akash Garg. We don't know anything else. So what will be our first step? Our first step will be information gathering. This is a non-technical example. Later, I'll tell you a technical example of how we can proceed with this. Information gathering. First, we'll try to learn who is Akash, from where he is from, what is he doing? Is he a student or is he a working professional? From which is he from India or from somewhere else? If he is from India, from which city he is from? This is information gathering. When you're performing information gathering against your target, right? You're performing information gathering against your target. your target will not be aware that you are gathering information. This is called passive information gathering. Passive information gathering is where Akash will not be aware that 20 a group of 20 people is gathering information about him. So first step is information gathering. Second step is scanning. What do you mean by scanning? Scanning is where we get additional information. Okay, now we know Akash is a working professional. He is from Mumbai. He is a working professional. He works for CTS. And what information do we get in scanning? In scanning, uh, we we analyze his home address. We find his home address, and in scanning we find additional information like this. Okay, Akash, he starts from home by 8:40 a.m. and he drives his car. Fine, he drives his car and he goes to office, which is in this place, and later 6:30 p.m. he returns back through this particular route and he reaches his home. This information we get in scanning. Fine. Third is vulnerability assessment. What do you mean by vulnerability? Vulnerability is weakness. Vulnerability is weakness. Now, what we are going to see now, knowing who is Akash, where he is working, and what is his what regular hobbies he have. Now, the next option, what we have to do is to find out what he is weak for. He might be weak to a lot of things. No offense. He might be drinking. He might be addicted to gambling or anything. Fine, anything. We'll assume Akash is vulnerable to gambling. Fine, he gambles a lot with money. That is his weakness, and we have found this. And why do we find a weakness of this particular target? Only with this weakness, fine. Only if you identify a weakness in your target, you can move on to the next phase of hacking, which is exploitation. Exploitation. So what is vulnerability? Vulnerability is weakness. Perfect. What is exploitation? Exploitation is actual attack. Fine. So what we do, we all slowly approach Akash and we tell him there is a perfect spot in Mumbai for gamblers, and we all have big shots coming there. We slowly poison him, like ARP poisoning, DNS poisoning. Fine. We slowly poison him with a lot of bad things in his mind, and then we exploit Akash. Fine. We exploit Akash, and Akash now he is totally addicted. And the next step is privilege escalation. What is privilege escalation? Privilege escalation is where once we were like unknown people to Akash, we were strangers, right? We were strangers to Akash, but after exploiting him, we become his close friends. So whatever we say, he is going to believe. We have become very close, right? That is privilege escalation. And then is maintaining access. What is maintaining access? In case if I want to exploit, if I want to attack Akash again I should not go with from step number 1 to 2 3 4, not like that, because now I have become very close to Akash, and anytime whenever I want to exploit him, yes, I can exploit him. And last is covering tracks. Now what do you mean by covering tracks? Covering tracks is where Akash co-workers, Akash family members should not be aware that these 20 people ruined Akash's life. So any evidence which points back to us, we'll try to erase, right? This is a non-technical example of what steps do we have in hacking: information gathering, scanning, vulnerability assessment, exploitation, privilege escalation, maintaining access, and covering tracks. I'll tell you a technical example of this. Technical example. Oh my God. Technical example. And yes, it is very obvious. All of you guys will be choosing your own target, right? We'll choose our own target. Your target can be your target. It can be your college website, or it can be your company website. We'll try to or any website which is not. Don't choose Google. Don't choose Facebook. No, not like that. choose any target website which is feasible and which is good, right? So based on this, we'll try to follow all these steps here, right? Not exploitation. We are trying to concentrate. We are trying to emphasize more on information gathering because you have so much of stuffs in that, and we'll also try to concentrate on vulnerability assessment. That is where you can find the weakness of your targets, and what we'll try to do, we'll try to report it to your college website or to your company as a bug, submission, which can be good and which will be appreciated. Fine. So you have to choose your target. My target here is abc.com. It is abc.com. Fine. What do you know about abc.com? abc.com, now you know, okay, this is a site. This is a website and you don't know anything about this. Or we'll take a more realistic site. Do you guys have any target, any site which I want to take? PSG CAS, Velamal. Okay, we'll take PSG CAS. Velamal, PSG CAS. Okay. PSG College of Arts and Science. It's in Coimbatore. We'll take this, right? PSG CAS. And we'll take this as a target. If this is your target website, this can be any website, whichever you want to prefer, psgcas.ac.in. Now, what is information gathering? Information gathering is trying to find out, okay, this PSG CAS, when it was created. Do you know when it was created? When this website was created? When this website is going to expire? Or then it can be like what server they are using, PSG CAS, what server they are using, what is the IP address of the server, how many subdomains they have, how many other domains they have, and what technologies they are using, whether they're using PHP or what type of technologies they are using. Fine. These and a lot of other information can be information gathering, fine, which we'll try to find. So now we know, yes, we have a site called PSG CAS, and you don't know anything about this site, fine. You don't know anything. You know, this is a college website, perfect, but you don't know what technologies or what servers or what information about this. We are not very sure about this. Yes. So we'll try to find. What is scanning? Scanning is trying to find out open ports. Which ports are open? I'll tell you what is ports. What can you do with open ports? How open ports can be exploited? We'll discuss this. But as of now, we'll try to find open ports. We'll try to find running services. What services are running? What ports are open? A lot of information like this. Vulnerability assessment. Okay, for this particular technology and for this particular server, say for example, if PSG CAS is using Apache server, fine, Apache 2.4.1. If this is a version of server, what they are using, PSG CAS, now I need to find vulnerabilities. So I'll search Google and I'll try to find this particular version of Apache is vulnerable to what types of attack, right? That is why information gathering and scanning are the most important phases of hacking, right? I'll tell you a very practical example. This is your target and you want to hack your target's mobile, right? You want to hack your target's mobile. I'll tell you what is information gathering and scanning. Information gathering and scanning, which means to know whether your target is using iPhone or whether your target is using Android. This is information gathering. Why is it very much important? It is important because if he is using iPhone, then you can use a tool called X. If he is using Android, then you should be using a tool called Y. Fine. Without knowing whether it is iPhone or Android, you cannot use a tool called Y against him. And if you don't get the output, you might be wondering, okay, there is something wrong with the tool. So information gathering and scanning are the most important and most essential part of ethical hackers to gather as much of information, right? So PSG CAS, I need to find out what server they are using, what technology they are using. And from that, I need to identify what type of vulnerabilities do they have. And with these vulnerabilities, I'll move on to the next phase of exploitation, wherein I attack. Fine. And what is privilege escalation? Say, for example, this is PSG server. Fine. I have attacked this. I have compromised this as a guest account. Fine. From a guest account, in case if I'm escalating my privilege from guest account to admin account, that you call it as privilege escalation. Fine. Privilege escalation. What is maintaining access? Maintaining access is where, okay, I have attacked this server once. I've attacked this server once. Again, 1 week later, I want to attack this server again. What should I be doing? I cannot follow information gathering, this, and I cannot come back again. So what I do when I compromise this server, I install a Trojan, I install a malware, I install a virus, right, inside this server. Why? Because this malware, this Trojan is going to help me, is going to give me whatever information I need and whenever I need. Right? Just like how your computer gets infected with the virus. Same like when I compromise a server, the first thing which I do is this. What? I try to install a Trojan, a malware, a rat, or a virus inside the server. So whenever I need some information, probably it is going to give me all the details, right? And what is covering tracks? Covering tracks is deleting all these files, all the log files, which is going to point back to me, right? So this is with the steps of hacking, what we can do: information gathering, scanning, vulnerability assessment, whatever your target might be. Your target, is it a mobile? Is it a website? Is it a web application? Whatever it might be, fine. These steps of hacking are mandatory and it is universal, just common for every entity, fine. So okay, fine. And we have, yes, we have different tools here. We have different different types of tools which we are going to see. We'll differentiate the tools based on this. Fine. I'll show you tools based on this. One is web-based tools, and then OS-based tools. We'll go like this because web-based tools or tools which are present in websites. You go to a website here, you open up a website. I can give you a lot of websites which can give so much of information. Fine. So we'll go for website-based tools and we'll also go for OS-based tools. Now coming back to this, so the first to do of today is to install Kali Linux in VirtualBox. Fine. You first need to install Kali Linux in VirtualBox. So when you open up your VirtualBox, I think VirtualBox is very simple to install. So when you open your VirtualBox here, you'll have this option called New. Fine. I'll go very slowly. Please listen to this carefully. You'll have to go for New, which is here. When you click on New, it is going to ask the name of the operating system. In case if you have VMware and if you have knowledge of using VMware, you can use VMware. That is perfectly fine. Right? So you have to give the OS name. OS name can be anything. This is for your reference. Whatever name you're going to give here, right? Whatever name you're going to give here will be displayed here. So I can give any name. I'll give Shanks Kali Linux, Kali Shanks Kali, and the type of operating system is Linux, and the version is Ubuntu 64-bit, right? Ubuntu 64-bit, Linux, Ubuntu 64-bit. Next, and as I told, I have 16 GB of RAM, fine, and by default you will have 1 GB assigned, 1 GB of RAM assigned to your Kali Linux. In case if you have 16 GB, the green color, what is being shown here, this green means that is recommended. You cannot give more than this, which is not recommended. Fine. So it is okay to give 1 GB of RAM. In case if you have only 4 GB of RAM for your computer, 1 GB would be more than enough. But since I have 16 GB here, I might give I would prefer giving 3 gigs of RAM. So 3 GB of RAM, and next. You don't have to change anything. Create, next, next. And by default, it is allocating 10 GB of space, hard disk space for Kali Linux. 10 GB would be more than enough. And create. So once if you have created, see here, I have my Shanks Kali here. I've created this. After creating this, you should have downloaded the Kali Linux ISO file, what we have shared in Drive, and it should be in your computer. So when I start this, it will ask me the ISO file, right? So I have to click on this icon, and you'll have to go to add, and I have my Kali Linux in this folder. So I'll select this. This is my ISO file, open, and I'll choose and start, right? Choose and start. Now you can run it live. As of now, you can run it live so that the OS will be fast. I'll have to go for the first option, live, enter. So I have my Kali Linux, which is booting. In case if your screen is very small, what you can do, you can go for view here, view, and go to scaled mode. Click on scaled mode at the top and switch. And now it will be like a box like this. Now double click on the tab here, double click. Now you'll have the full screen of Kali Linux, right? So this is your Kali Linux login screen. And as I told you, you have so many options. You have so many options inside this. Okay. Just like your Windows start icon here. Right? In Windows, you have the start icon here. And with the start icon, you have access to a lot of things. Yes, like that. For Kali Linux, you can go for the option which is at the top here. This option which is at the top. Click on this and see here, whatever I have told, information gathering, vulnerability assessment, and exploitation tools. You have so many tools. All these are softwares. When I click on information gathering, see here, we have so much of information gathering tools, which is mentioned here. So click on this, you have tools. Click on this, you have tools. You have so many tools here, right? So we'll try to cover maximum of tools during these 5 days. And another important thing which you have to note down in Kali Linux is to find the IP address. So when this is the terminal, which is the command prompt. Okay. This is the command prompt terminal here, which is at the top. And the command to find the IP address is if config, enter. Oh my God. Before that, let me show you this. In your Kali Linux, right? In your Kali Linux, you'll have to go to settings, right? You'll have to go to settings and you'll have network options, right? You will have these network options here. Go to network, and this is in NAT. By default, it will be in NAT, but you have to change this to bridged adapter. Change this to bridged adapter and click on OK. This is one network setting which you have to do. And what is the difference between that? Okay, now this is your Windows 10 computer, right? And the IP address of your Windows 10 is 192.168.1.10. Say, for example, this is the IP address of your Windows 10. And you have installed Kali Linux. I mean, like you have installed VirtualBox here. And in VirtualBox, you have Kali Linux, which is installed. Kali Linux, right? And you will have network options, network settings, right? So in order to use these network settings, in order to find the difference between these network settings, fine. So we'll keep it as 1. This is operating system number 1 and operating system number 2. If you want 1 and 2 to be in the same LAN, if you want these two computers to act or to behave like they're in the same local area network. What do you mean by a local area network? You have your Wi-Fi in your home, and you have a desktop, you have a laptop, and you have a mobile which is connected to your Wi-Fi. Yes, you have all these devices connected to the Wi-Fi. Now I can call this as a LAN, local area network. All these devices belong to the single LAN. If you want your Windows 10 and Kali Linux to behave like two computers in the same LAN, what you have to do, you'll have to go for the option called bridged adapter in your network settings. You'll have to go for bridged adapter, right? In case you want this to be in different LAN, then you can go for, one second, then you can go for this option called NAT, network address translation, right? You can go for this option called network address translation, which is okay. But here the recommended setting is bridged adapter, so that you can, when you click on settings, network, it has to be in bridged adapter. So if it is in bridged adapter, perfect. Both your host operating system and guest operating system will be in the same LAN, fine. And okay, so first try to install Kali Linux in VirtualBox. It's very simple. And after this, in information gathering, the first step of information gathering, we'll start with information gathering of how to gather information with sites like this. We'll go for Google, we'll go for GitHub, and we'll go for Shodan. Fine. These three websites, Google, GitHub, and Shodan, I'll tell you how to extract information from these websites, how many sensitive informations are present, how to use these three websites in a proper way to find out a lot of information about your target website. And fine, because these three are very common when you go for hacking, when you go for pen testing, even when you go till forensics. Fine, these three websites will be most commonly used. And the amount of information which is present in these three websites are huge. To start with, we'll start with Google. Fine. Google and okay, PSGCast. This is our target here. Yes. So this is our target. What we'll do, psgcast.ac.in. This will be our target. I'm using Google. What I can do, I can search only like this. I'll give the domain name and I'll search. Okay, do we have the college website? Yes, perfect. We have this. Now, I want to find the login pages. I want to find, as an attacker, what will be my first objective? To find the login page of PSGCast. I'll type in URL, login, in URL, login, in URL, login, enter. Yes, we get login, but we are not getting in PSGCast. We need the login page of PSGCast. So what I do, I go here and I type site psgcast.ac.in. Right? Enter. Okay. psgcast.moodle. Forgot password. Admissions. Okay, this is one. Okay, we'll go for this. Okay, PSGCast. We have the login page here. Okay. So this is something which you need to understand what these keywords are. Right? Using proper keywords like this, we get exact details. I'll show you this. We'll try to search admin login pages from Pakistan. If my objective is to find my objective is to find all admin login pages from Pakistan. fine, regardless of what site it is. From all the websites of Pakistan, I want the admin login pages, right? If you do a general Google search, what you will get, you'll say, you'll type like this: give me the list of all admin login pages from Pakistan. Probably we might type something like this. Yes, but Google might not understand what you're looking for, because Google is not a friend who is sitting next to you. Google will take this as a keyword, will take this as a keyword, will take will take a lot of these as keywords, and it will search all the websites, and it is going to give you results which might not be exact, which might be relevant. There are two types of results in Google: relevant results and exact results, right? What we need is exact results. So in case if I need exact results, what should I do? I should type something like this: in URL. I'll explain what is in URL, what is in text, what is in title, everything. I'll type in URL, admin, in URL. I'll give login, and I'll say site PK. Site PK is Pakistan, right? Site PK, enter. See here, admin login page, Pakistan. Admin login, Pakistan. Admin login, Pakistan. Admin login, Pakistan, right? This way of accessing Google is called Google Docs, right? You call this as Google Docs. Google Docs is one efficient way of accessing Google. Okay, Google Docs. Google Docs is a set of keywords with which you can access Google to get exact results, right? So what are these keywords? We have in URL, we have in text, we have in title, you have file type, you have site, you have all in URL, you have all in text, right? You have, I think this will be more than enough. So in URL, in text, and in title, file type, site, all in URL. Say in case if I'm looking for PDF documents, right? PDF documents related to hacking. So I'll type file type is PDF, in text is hacking. File type is PDF. I want only PDF documents which has more number of words called hacking. So in text is hacking. Enter. Probably you should be getting all PDF documents. PDF, PDF, PDF. Fine. It is all PDF document. You will not get any other document. You will get only PDF documents. If you understand Google Docs, you can use Google Docs. As I told you, you can use it for bug hunting. You can use it for pen testing. You can use it for forensics. You can use it for a lot of different purpose, right? But you need to understand how to properly, how to use these Google Docs, how to understand these Google Docs. Once if you understood these Google Docs, excuse, it is not only for hacking, it is for a general purpose of searching something in internet. If you know to use Google Docs, then you might get results for anything and everything in internet. If that is present in internet, for sure you'll get that with the help of Google Docs, right? So I'll explain what Google Docs is in the coming sessions. I'll say how to understand Google Docs, what is the meaning of in URL, in text, in title, file type, and how to use this. With the help of these Google Docs, how to find sensitive information about your target, right? How to find sensitive information about your target, how to extract that, and how to find and how to report it to them, so that you can make use of information gathering in the most best ways, right? And after this, we'll move on to tools. With Kali Linux, I'll explain what tools we have to use to enumerate information for subdomains and for vulnerability assessment, which tools can be used best, and how to use these tools to get most information out of your target, right? So I hope the introduction for today is was okay, and again, it's a mixed crowd. I don't want to move ahead technically very fast, so I'm taking it on a generalized basis. And I hope in 5 days of time you will get enough information of what steps is involved in hacking. Fine. And thanks a lot. We'll meet tomorrow then. And the attendance link, I hope Soumita will share you now. Fine. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow then. Bye-bye. Today we don't have any assignments for sure. It will be shared with you from tomorrow. And yes, we will also tell you where you have to submit your assignments, in which link, and based on that we'll see the evaluation for the assignments as well. Fine. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I hope my voice is audible. So what I'm going, is my voice audible? Yes, okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share you the attendance link now. And the Zoom meeting is going to be active for another 15 to 20 minutes. So I will first share you the attendance link for today. You go ahead, fill in your attendance and come back. In case if you need the Skype group link, you can come back. Okay, in case if you want assistance, you wanted to join the Skype group for doubt clearing session, you can come back and I will share you the Skype group link. Now I will be sharing you the attendance link. And if you need e-certificate, attendance is going to be calculated, and based on your attendance, we're going to provide you e-certificate. So make sure you fill in your attendance every day. So I have shared the attendance link. Please go ahead and drop in your attendance. And once you're done, if you again need Skype group link, you can come back. Minimum criteria for attendance, see, this is a 5-day training. It would be great if you have given attendance at least for 3 days, at least for 3 or 4 days. Okay, great. So now there are two Skype groups as sir told you. So I'm going to share you the first Skype group link. Okay, so those who need assistance, those who want their doubt to be cleared, you can go ahead and you can join the first Skype group link which I'm going to share. And once you have joined the Skype group, you can leave the meeting. Okay, so Skype group again, I request you, it is only for asking doubts and it is only for asking your queries and for troubleshooting. Apart from that, please avoid all your good morning text, good night text, and please avoid chats. And we also request you not to communicate with any participants privately. Yes, so I hope this is going to be professional. So the Skype group link, yes, I've shared you the first Skype group link. You can go ahead and you can join the Skype group, and if you've joined the Skype group, you can leave the meeting. So the attendance link, I am sharing it again for the new participants who are inside. Attendance link, yes, it is done. Yes, in Skype, make sure all your queries is related to the topic which is being discussed in the class. Apart from that, please do not come up with questions which are not relevant to class. Skype group link is not working because too many participants are trying to join the group at one time. So I think you should give it some time and then join. I'm going to stop the Skype group invite link in some time because I hope there are already 200 plus participants in lab 1. Yeah, you can leave. In case if you have joined the Skype group and in case if you have given your attendance, you can leave. There is no particular purpose of lab 2. We have 2 labs. I mean, since there are many participants, we have 2 labs wherein, like, you know, we can split the participants so that it doesn't become a mess. And again, please use the Skype group only for doubt clearing session, and, you know, avoid replying to other participant messages. That is the main thing. Please do not reply to other participant messages. Okay, so now Skype group 1 will not work because I've stopped the invite link for Skype group. Okay, Skype group 1 is not going to work. So now for people who wanted to join the Skype group, you can, if you really wanted to join, if there are some people who wanted to join, you can ping me so that I will share you the group 2 link. Session video will be shared in another 15 to 20 minutes. I will share you the drive link in Telegram group. Criteria for selecting those 20 people based on the assignment, how you submit it, based on your results, how accurate you are with your results. Yes, it counts. Yeah, and all that counts. As sir told you, today you don't have particular assignment to do. You have to just go ahead and install your Kali Linux tool, and you can work on all those information gathering stuff. Okay, so for people who are asking, I am going to